Hello, friends. Welcome to this session on listening, speaking, literature, some insights. First of all, I would like to thank Harbour Press International, particularly Ms. Nisha Singh, Mr. Deepak Pandey, for giving me this opportunity to come face to face live with you all on Facebook and share some ideas on the subject with whatever little knowledge I have with all of you. So, good evening, everyone. I have started getting your messages right now. Rajesh, Mayank Goyal, Mandeep Bagel, they are saying good evening. Good evening, all of you. And I would request you to hold your messages for about 10 to 15 minutes in the beginning. And let me say what I want to say first, and then I'll have your questions as well. I'll take your queries as well. Mr. Mithilesh Jha, good evening. Rakhi Bhatia, good evening. Pooja Bhatia, good evening. Nimesh P. Mistry, good evening. So, if you all say good evening, thank you very much for being here and listening to me with whatever little knowledge I have. I will try to do the justice. So, let's begin with the topic itself. The topic is listening, speaking, and literature. Some insights. So, what can be the insights on this topic? This is really important, and this is really exciting also for me even. That on this topic, so there are three parts of the topic. One is listening. Second is reading, and the third is literature. As far as listening is concerned, listening is but it's not a passive skill. It is receptive. We receive someone's ideas when we listen, but it is not a passive skill. We need to use our brains while we are listening. Our ideas go along while we are listening, and we also process the ideas of others when we are listening. And there are three steps involved which are involved in listening. Number one, hearing the spoken words. Hearing is different from listening. We remember, hearing is just something coming to us, to our ears, like honking of the horn. That is hearing. Listening is something else. So listening means hearing some words spoken by somebody. Then we have identifying or recognizing those words which are coming to our ears. And then we have to identify, decode, and decipher those words coming to us. I will request you again to hold your good evenings in the beginning, so that I may put some ideas, and after that you can go for with your messages as well. So listening is like receiving, processing, identifying what is spoken, and then deciphering it, and then making meaning out of it, which is really important. And how do we make meaning? We make meaning through our understanding of the world. So if somebody says to you, I have got some interest, and by our understanding of the world, we know that there can be two interests. One which is paid by the bank, and the other one which I have in something. So what I am talking about, unless and until you get the full context, you won't be able to decipher what I am trying to say to you when I say I have got some interest, whether bank has paid me something or I want to do something in something. So our knowledge of the world is really important, is really very important to talk about, to listen. Sharing with you some facts about listening. You know, there are some facts about listening. 85% of what we have learned in our life is through listening. And this fact is from Sharpe, a great scholar from, I think he was from England, Sharpe. And very interestingly, 75% times what we hear, we miss. So 85% is our learning through listening, and 75% we miss. This is so interesting to know. And after listening to somebody, we can immediately recall about 50%. So when you are listening to me, after some time you will be able to recall only 50% what I have said. 1 hour later, you know how much you can now send me a message. After 1 hour, how much percentage of what we have heard we remember? I'm waiting for your answers now. After half an hour, how much percentage of what we have listened 1 hour before we will remember? 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 90%. I'm waiting for your answers. So after 1 hour, how much we remember what we have listened to? Ruchi Mishra is saying 80%. 75% is already distracted. Nisha is saying 25%. Very nice. It's about 20%. So you are very close, because 75% is already missed, distracted. So it's about 25% which we remember after 1 hour, when we listen to a talk or something, like you are listening to me. And you know, less than 2% of the world population has got training in listening. Just 2%. Formal education in listening. And we listen to about 120 to 250 words per hour. 120 to 125 per minute. Okay, tell me, per minute, how many words can we listen to per minute? This is my next question. You are answering the previous question. The next question is, how many words we listen per minute? Means, what is the maximum capacity we can listen to? Rashmi, I want your answer, not good evening. Good evening is already gone. Approximate 50 words. Khiyati, Nisha, 150 to 200. Let me have a cup of tea. Pankaj Mishra, 100. So Pankaj ji, you are very close. It's 125 to 250. We can listen. Listening means, I have already given you the definition. Listening means listening with understanding, making meaning out of it. So there is a speed of listening also, as we have the speed of speaking also. So we can listen to 125 to 250 words per minute and understand. Now let's come to another point, reading. And I have 3 quotations to share with all of you on reading. Joseph Edison, you must have heard about him, 18th century prose writer and essayist. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. And Sir Francis Bacon, reading makes a full man. Yes, man means, man here doesn't mean man as opposite to woman. Man means human being, including all species of human beings, male, female, children, all sort of things. So reading makes a full man. This is said by Sir Francis Bacon. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body is Joseph Edison. And the third one, Benjamin Franklin. You must have heard Benjamin Franklin. Never read a book without a pen in your hand. This is very interesting. Never read a book without a pen in your hand. So I have a pen with me. Never read a book without a pen. What does it mean? You can send me your queries. What does that mean? Never read a book without a pen in your hand. This is by Benjamin Franklin, not by Francis Bacon. Somebody is saying Francis Bacon. Benjamin Franklin has said, never read a book without a pen in your hand. What does that mean? You can answer me in your comments. Nirupam Bisa, you agree, but what is the meaning of this? I am waiting for you. Neelam Nayal, good evening. Vikas Gar, good evening. Sugandha, good evening. There are so many good evenings. I cannot answer all of them. Good evening to all my dear friends who are connected through this Facebook, the Facebook page of Harbor Press International, who have invited me here today. I really thank them with the core of my heart to have given me this opportunity to talk to you face to face live on Facebook and share whatever little knowledge I have on the subject with all of you. So somebody is saying pen to underline the important words. Yes. And learn them later. Yes. Highlight the lines. Yes. Rashmi, some can strike worth remembering. Yes. Virinder Singh, making sense of what you read. Yes. Anubhuti Srivastava, you are so fast. I cannot read even all your comments. Please be a little slower so that I can read all your comments. Ridhi, so that we can underline difficult words. Nagma Fozia, be attentive. Deepika Rathi, to learn new words. Yes, all your answers are really correct. So I will summarize your points. Khyati, it means, oh, it's gone. Ritu Kapoor, he wants us to research the words. Yes, there can be many ideas when we have a pen in our hand. There can be many ideas behind this idea. Number one, we can underline. Number two, we can note down any points on the sides. You know, always, whenever we have a book, can we have a book, please? Whenever we have a book, there are margins on both sides, and then there is a upper margin and lower margin. All four corners are left blank in a book. You know why? Because when we read, we may note down the ideas on the borders all around. So underlining important words, noting down important. So this is a book. You see, there are all four corners are left blank. Why? So that we can note down any ideas here, 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 and even I have noted down some ideas here. You can see. So underline important words, note down ideas, note down new words, underline new words, mark the words which we think, and you also disagree with the author. This pen is mightier than the sword, remember. So we can also disagree with the author. You can disagree with me also, disagree with the author and mark your points in disagreement also. This is really important because we need to use our brain when we are reading something. So agreement and disagreement both are really important. Now coming to reading again. So reading is again a receptive skill, as we know. Recognition of written words or printed symbols, decoding written or printed ideas, symbols. These are the symbols actually, the alphabet. And making meaning out of those printed letters, words, printed symbols, or the script through our understanding of the world. So that is really important. We listen, we read, we make meaning out of it, and then we understand. So if whatever previous knowledge we have, that is really important to understand the written words, the written text. And now, very important and my favorite. Please hold for 2 minutes. All my dear friends, please hold on just for 2 minutes. Listen to me first and then you can give your ideas. Literature. Now, what is the connectivity of listening, reading and literature? The topic is listening, reading and literature. Connected together, some insights on it. Literature, what is literature? Literature is the written history. Literature is the written history. You will say, you may disagree with me, you will say, history is something else. Sonia Kataria, good evening. Santosh Shukla, good evening. Good evening is already past. Now I am on literature. What is literature? I have proposed this idea that literature is actually history. Do you agree with me? Literature is history. I am waiting for your answers. Literature is history. Sangeeta Jolly, nice topic. H.N. Zala, good evening, sir. Please hold on your good evenings. Now I'm written works, especially those considered of superior or lasting. Yes, somebody has said, I just missed the name. Srilata, I disagree too. The space provided is not left for us to scribble all over. You can disagree, yes, of course, you can disagree. You can always disagree. No problem. There can be many more reasons of giving this space all around. Literature, as per me, is the enhancement of any language. Khyati. Yes, Monica Sharma, art of writing. Writing that is considered to be work of art. Oh yes, Ambika. Shilpa, collection of written work. Yes. So you can again disagree with me, and we all agree or disagree. But what I feel like I'm sharing with you all. I respect your ideas even in disagreement. Thank you very much. Literature is the written history of not man's actions. The history of man's action is already recorded in history. The history of man's ideas, the history of man's ideals, the history of man's dreams, the history of man's aspirations, inspirations, the history of man's feelings, emotions. This is literature. Yes, all your definitions are correct. I'm from my little knowledge, I'm sharing with you all. So literature is the written history of human beings' soul, their aspirations, their inspirations, their ideals, their ideas, their dreams, and whatever they thought about the world to be. A literary artist does not portray the world as it is or as it was, because that is the work of a historian. A literary artist portrays the world as it should have been. Mark my words. A literary artist does not portray the world as it is or as it was, because it is the work of a historian. A literary artist portrays the world as it should have been. He talks about the idealized world. Meera Shukla, well said, thank you. Expressions of ideas, yes, literature is the expression of ideas and ideals, and dreams and aspirations and inspirations and failures even. What they thought of the world. And that's why Aristotle once said poetry is more serious and philosophical than history. Poetry is more serious and philosophical than history. This is Aristotle. And there are three purposes, three main objectives of any literature in the world. Number one, instruction, giving us moral lessons. Second, inspiration, giving us inspirations. And the third one is pleasure. Good literature pleases all and pleases always. So if we find Kalidas interesting for us today, even after 400-500 years, It's because it pleases us and pleases always. If you find Shakespeare even relevant today, relevant today even, because it pleases all and pleases always. Good literature always pleases and pleases all. In any language, language doesn't matter here. Whatever language you know, whatever language you know. Yes, we meet ourselves in literature. Now, coming to the integration of these skills, these three things. We send our children to school. 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old children, they go to schools. What they enjoy the most in school? Reading, writing, listening, speaking, or what? Somebody is saying Hindi mein baat karo sir. Sorry sir, my topic is on English language today. If you want to see me speaking in Hindi, I have a YouTube video also, Dr. Khaliq Ahmed, English Innovations. Go to YouTube, you will find me talking in Hindi as well. But today the topic is given in English. So I have restriction today. So in whatever language you are reading, that's fine. Good literature will always please and please all. So now my question to all of you is, when we send our small children to school, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, what they enjoy the most? Reading, writing, or speaking, or listening? In terms of language I am talking about. Of course they like to play. Shweta Priyas, listening and speaking. Younger students like speaking, listening. Sugandha, Anjana, children enjoy interacting. Shruti Sharma, good evening sir. Oh, Uttam Mandal, listening stories, listening and speaking. Well, I have a different idea. The children enjoy the most what? Baba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, 3 bags full. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Or Johnny, Johnny, yes papa, eating sugar, no papa. So I believe, again you may disagree with me, I believe that these younger children, they enjoy their rhymes, their nursery rhymes, their poems, and poetry is literature. Yes, they participate, they like to play, they like to recite nursery rhymes. So this literature comes into picture in the very beginning years of our life. Actually, we listen to literature first. Do you remember listening to your grandmother's stories, grandfather's stories, your mother's stories, your father's stories, or anybody else's stories when you were very, very small? Yes, we all remember. So we begin our life by listening to stories, to literature, because poetry is also a form of literature. So now coming to the integration of all these three things: listening, reading, and literature. We read literature, we listen to literature, and we enjoy literature. Shruti Sharma, yes, rhymes very well. Ramchandra Chauhan, Gurmeet Bhilai, Rajdeep's value visuals of rhymes, yes. Music touches souls of all, yes. Poonam Joshi, right. Anita Pandey, I'm not so fast in reading. Your messages are really fast. I can't read them all. So when we talk about integration of these three things, literature is not a skill, but for some time I'll call it as a skill for developing all other skills. Now, since literature is written by somebody, there is a man or woman behind every book, and behind the man there is not the wall. Behind every man or behind every writer, there is the society. There are the customs, the traditions, the religion, the moral values, and all those. So when a writer writes his ideals, those customs, those traditions, those values, they are directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously or non-consciously, are reflected in the works of art. So literature touches the heart. Yes, you are right. That's why it touches the heart, because it talks about values. It talks about the social norms. It talks about what we have thought but could not say, and the other person is saying. That's why we enjoy literature. We enjoy reading it, we enjoy listening to it. Literature is in depth of our lives. These days, literature has taken a different form. Literature has been shifted to now to movies. We watch literature these days. To YouTube, again we watch literature these days, and to audiobooks. Again, through audiobooks, we listen to literature. And my first idea, while I am integrating all these three things, my first idea, my first advice is to all those students or all those teachers who are listening to me, is to integrate these three things through audiobooks if we can have. How can we have the audiobooks? Audiobooks can be heard simply either through YouTube or through mobile apps or through internet or through your laptops or your smartphones. So how can we use an audiobook for developing reading, listening and literature, all three things together? So first of all, select a book of your choice. Any material, maybe sports, maybe a news item of your interest, some comic, your hobby, anything, whatever interests you, just choose that thing as in the form of a written literature. It can be a book, it can be a newspaper item, it can be a magazine item, anything. St. Columbus National School, watching on Facebook, can't connect to the link given, but you are already watching from St. Columbus. Mr. Pandey, please take care of this. I can see I am live and there are 326 people listening to me right now. Dr. Poonam Singh, we find our lives reflection through literature. Yes. So audiobooks can be a very good help to develop listening, reading and literary values. How? So find out anything which interests you, which you like really. Any topic, for example sports, for example a storybook of your choice, fairy tale, anything. Now choose this one on the internet. Somebody might have read it for you and recorded it on the internet. Maybe there are certain apps like LibriVox, like Google Play Books, and then we have Audible, and then we have YouTube books. So just have such lead ear plugs, put them in, switch on the audiobook, and when you listen to the book, adjust the speed of that spoken book to according to you, maybe faster or slower. You can make it in the adjustments, the settings, and then read along. So somebody is reading in your ears, you are listening to that book, and you are also reading the text. So all three things are going together. You are enjoying literature, you are reading a book, and you are listening to the same book together, and your brain starts making connections. Yes, e-Kindle version also. Thank you. Who is this? Somebody said e-Kindle. Shomi Pandey. Thank you. E-Kindle also. So you can see a book on the page, e-page. You read it through your eyes and read it through your ears also, because somebody is reading it to you. Is this a good idea? You can try it. So all 3-4 skills will be enhanced together when we do this thing. Now coming to individual activities. uh, there are certain, of course, there are so many ideas to enhance our listening skill. First, I'll talk about specifically about listening skill now, and then reading skill, and then literature again. So, to be good listeners, what do we need? To be good listeners, we require focused ears. And to have focused ears, we need to look at the face of the person who is speaking to us. Maintain eye contact. We may be attentive while relaxing also, giving our ears. Keep an open mind, receptive mind. Listen to the words and try to picture what the speaker is saying. Try to visualize in the mind what the speaker is trying to say. Don't interrupt and don't impose your ideas. Let the person finish first. Wait for the speaker to pause. Once the speaker finishes, you can ask for clarification. If possible, try to rephrase or paraphrase. Also, try to connect through verbal clues or the facial expressions. Obviously, Shomi Pandey, patience too is needed, sir. Yes, patience, focus and attention. Yes, you are all very creative. Trisha Verma, very creative. Focus, attention, and concentration. You all are right. You agree with me actually, and I agree with you all. Thank you very much for giving your full support. I can see so many likes going up, up, and up. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. You have been such good listeners so far. For teachers, improving listening skills. You know, the classical thing for improving listening skill is what? The classical thing which is still relevant today to improve listening skills in the classroom. Yes, to have patience. Lend one's ears. Yes, Jayaprakash ji. Archana Garg, I am in the making of a podcast for the same reason. It is nothing but reading of these chapters. Yes, thank you. Arpana Chopra, these tips will surely help. Yes. Now my next question is to all of you, what is the most classical thing is still relevant to develop listening skills in the classroom? Renu Kigan is saying you are good speakers, so we are good listeners. Good. You are all really good listeners. Seema Saran, these days with online teaching, listening may pose a problem. I don't think. Listening is never a problem if we can follow all these which I have just told you. Be attentive, focused, and all those things. Lakshmi Pramod, yes, you have a question. I'll answer it later on. So, to develop listening skills, I've got your ideas to make the topic interesting so that students can hear. The classical idea of developing listening skills is still dictation. Yes, you heard it right. Dictation. All those who are about 40 plus or 40 years of age, they might have gone through IMLA in Hindi or Urdu or in Punjabi in their mother tongue. IMLA is called dictation. Yes, dictation is still the best thing ever to develop listening and reading both, and even writing. So all the four skills are tested together, are put into practice together when we do dictation. And there can be many ideas. There can be many forms of dictation in many forms. So there can be dictogloss. There can be, yes, eye contact also. Listen to the words. Yes, Aman Singh, speak with appropriate pauses. Yes, Richa Bajpai, try to interpret yourself. Yes, Binni Ashish, the way you create interest among the listeners. Yes, Mamta Sharma, silence and interaction. Yes, Mahima Singh, discipline. We teachers are always concerned with discipline. It's really hot day today. Yeah. So for me, developing listening skill in the classroom, dictation is the best practice still, and dictation can be in many forms, like dictogloss. In the dictogloss, we just give a dictation and stop. It's about 3-4 lines together, and then we ask the students to write from their memory. Then there can be another dictation where we give a dictation to all students, maybe in just 3-4 lines, and then stop and then ask them to rewrite with all opposite words. Or jigsaw dictation, where we give a dictation with a good speed, like it's just a sort of spoken speed. For example, if I give you dictation in many forms can be given to the class so that the class may write their ideas. If I dictate you this, you will not be able to write everything, but all the learners will write something. So this something can be put together after some time. So it is called jigsaw dictation. So they can come together in groups and they can make meaning out of it, what they have written. So yes, it develops foundation. Pinky, Sharaf Fatima, listening, discipline in dictation. Jayaprakash Mishra, dictation. Lalita Gambhir, wonderful idea. So dictation can be given in many forms. And please remember, when we are giving dictation, it should be known to them. It is no use giving them unknown things in dictation. If I have not taught them the spelling of psychology, I cannot give it in dictation, because everybody in the class will write it wrongly. So there is no use of giving such dictation. Dictation should be only from known words, familiar words, which they already know. Wherein the dictogloss usually focuses on a particular grammar structure to practice. Yes, Tapsa Biswas, musical dictation is undoubted. Yes, musical dictation is really a very good idea. Tapsa, thank you. Mithilesh Jha, good idea, sir. Kumkum Sinha, VK Jaina, voice modulation, intonation. Yes, you are right. Shilpa Rajiv Kumar, quite interesting session, sir. Thank you. Oh, students try to reconstruct. Arpana Chopra, this will improve spellings as well as memory. Yes, not only memory but their listening skill, which is really important. Sir, known dictation promotes rote learning. I feel I'm not talking about known dictation. Known dictation doesn't means they if they are not familiar with the words, how will they write those words in dictation? What I mean to say is, it should not be known to them, something crammed. No, not like, I'm not saying this thing. Pronunciation should be right while dictating. Yes, Kamaini Joshi, you are right. Sangeeta Jolly, nice idea. Kumkum Sinha, nice point, sir. BK Jaina, dictation. Yes, you are absolutely right. Isha Moni. Okay, so now I'm sharing. I wish to share some listening. What should I say? Listening activities which can be done in the classroom. So dictation is just one. Next, listen and draw. Listen and draw is again a very classical activity, which is always a thumbs up sort of thing with the students and with the teacher itself. It can vary from very beginning to a higher grade as per the standard of the learners, as per their age, as per their interests. You give them stepwise and they draw. Here the drawing skills are not important. Here the skills of listening are important. So we as teachers of English, we need to see this thing, that we are not testing their drawing skills. We need to see their listening skills only, that they heard it right. So if we say draw a straight line, they can draw it anywhere, because we have not given any idea where. If we say draw a straight line in the middle of the page, then it's obviously, if this is the page, here. So listen and draw can be given at any stage, from the beginning to primary, then upper primary, then secondary, senior secondary. At any stage we can give it, even to adult learners, as per their standard, as per their understanding of the world. That is really important, which I told you in the very beginning. Yes, runner dictation is also very good. Who was this? Shikha Jain, yes. Lalita Gambhir, yes, is a very creative activity. And then we have after listen and draw, we can speak out certain well-known stories in the classroom with some missing facts. So for example, if they know the story of uh, the crow, the clever crow, or the thirsty crow, if they already know this story, we can start this story like this. There was a thirsty crow. The crow was very dash. Let them fill in. So if they are listening to you attentively, they will listen and fill in the blank. Thirsty. He was very thirsty. He saw some dash in a pitcher, in a pot, water. Mamta Sharma, it will make the children creative. Yes. So a well-known story with some listening gaps, so that they may listen to you attentively and fill in the gaps. The same story can be given with twisted facts or wrong facts. One day there was a thirsty kite, a thirsty bird. So they will say, no, it is a thirsty crow. So something like this can be given. And then another activity which is related to listening, to improve listening of the learners, can be, you can give me some idea? Listen and draw, yes, Monica Sharma. Priya M. Rajan, this will enhance their vocab, yes. It will make children very attentive and creative as well. Yashika Chabra, Mahima, it's very useful way, yes. Jayaprakash, is it primary webinar? No, it's for everybody, not for primary, but I am at primary level right now. For higher level skills, if you are talking about this, British Council website and British Council podcasts are really good for improving our listening skills. BBC podcasts, they are really good. And then on YouTube we have Oxford Online English, which is really good. Ollie, he's my favorite. Ollie on British on BBC English Online. Then we have LibriVox app for developing our listening, and YouTube itself is a great resource. Sometimes you will find me also on YouTube. My channel is Dr. Khaliq Ahmed English Innovations. Dr. Khaliq Ahmed English Innovations. That is my channel on YouTube. You will find me on YouTube as well. Listen to Learn Music is another app which is available for developing listening. And then coming to reading, some steps, just some ideas about developing reading. First of all, read as much as one can. Read about those things which interest you. This is really important. If you are interested in stories, if you are interested in fiction, whatever, movies, fashion, whatever interests you, read that. But continuous reading every day, maybe for just 10 minutes. Archana Singh, thank you for this beautiful bouquet. Wow. Seema Saran, thanks for valuable suggestions. Very innovative ideas. Rekha Rani Kapoor, thank you. Kamaini Joshi, Chris Bell takes the class. Oh yes. Shikha Jain, word chain is a good activity for listening and speaking. Yes, it's really nice. You are already full of ideas. I am just facilitating those ideas live today. Read about your own interests. Keep on checking understanding of what you read. So when you read, yes, read aloud is a very good activity, but I will advise you not to have it very frequently in the classroom. I don't find it very useful in the classroom to read aloud. One child is reading aloud and the other are supposed to listen. They usually don't listen to it. And it's the one who is reading aloud is really exposed in the classroom. It may be a daunting situation for many students. So instead of that, what we can do, we can have smaller groups where they can read aloud to their own peers one by one. Maybe in groups of 4 or 5. Instead of just one person reading to 50 students together. Pooja Bhatia, super. Yes, Mohammad Faizi reading newspapers daily. Anything in the newspaper. The news item of your interest. If you are interested in politics, okay, read politics. If you are interested in sports, okay, read sports. If you are interested in reading editorial columns, okay, go for it. Some people are interested in reading the letters to editors, okay, go for it. Whatever interests you, but reading every day bit by bit will make the building of our language. That is really important. And summarizing what we have read is also summarizing in our head, making paraphrase of whatever we have read is really important. And maintaining a reasonable speed of reading is also very important. Keeping on guessing, keeping on asking questions to oneself, and keep reasoning, doing the reasoning sort of thing. These are really important steps while we read, and these will increase our reading speed and reading habit as well. And for young learners, word wall is a very good activity. And word wall, why only young learners? Word wall can be had in class 12th itself. Obviously, the words will be of their interest and of their level. If they are class 12th students, you can talk to them about corona. So, corona or coronavirus or COVID-19 related vocabulary can be pasted, like lockdown, like curfew, like martial law, like social distancing, mask, sanitizer. All these things can be put together on a chart paper and they can be asked to write an article over it. So word wall is an activity which can be had in any class right from the beginning to the top. Obviously, we have to take care of their interest and their grade and their age on all these things. And rhyming words are really important for any age of learners. Rhyming words, they make rhymes through rhyming words. They become creative through rhyming words. So let them play with the rhyming words sometimes in the class. And there is very classical thing. All those who are about 40 years of age right now, 35, 40, 45, 50, you will agree with me. You develop your linguistics skill, your language skills through one thing. What was that? All those who are about 40 years of age now, please tell me one thing with which you developed your language skills. A very interesting thing. Aurora Singh Sakshi. Yes, rhyming is important. One thing, tell me one thing which in your childhood you were very fond of and which enhanced your reading skills drastically. Sharmishta, 100%. Unscramble words too, yes, rhyme words. Rashmi Puri Gulati speaking. Promita Chatterjee, great idea. Poonam, poems and games. Surabhi. I will tell you one thing. Comics. You remember now? Archana Singh, listening. Sangeeta Jolly, word wall. Archana Singh, comics. Yes, comics. In your childhood, I don't think that there was a person who did not go to Chacha Chaudhary, Pinky and all those comics, Indrajal and all English and Hindi comics. So these comics, they actually help build language skills a lot. Why so? Because the text is not very large, not very much on a page, it's very small, but there are caricatures, there are pictures to support. So if even you don't understand something, you can make sense of it through the pictures given there. So comics are really good thing. Yes, translation is also, Anju Sharma, translation is really good thing also. I'm coming to that also. So Archie, yes, Archana Singh, Archie, and there was this Reader's Digest also. So this comic strip, this enhances language skills a lot. So I will advise all the young learners who are watching this, or the teachers or parents of young learners, you can have this comic idea in the classroom or out of the classroom. See, classroom actually is the biggest lab in the world, but out of classroom there is a lot of learning as well. So not only classroom but out of classroom also. Yes, listening stories also is a very good idea. And sometimes reading aloud to a book to yourself also helps a lot. Reading aloud to yourself, so you start making connections through what you are writing through ears. Particularly if you are a very advanced learner, as somebody was asking, I think Jayaprakash was asking, it is for primary teachers. No, it's not for, it's for all. So if you are reading Chaucer, the 14th century poet, one advice I would give you, read Chaucer through your ears. read Chaucer through your ears. Chaucer's age is about 1340 to 1400. So roughly 60 years period is called Chaucer's age. So Chaucer was writing, and the later stage of his, the third stage of his life, which is about 1388 onwards, he wrote the Canterbury Tales in English, and the English he was using was East Midland dialect, which was in the eastern side of London, I believe. So if you want to enjoy Chaucer, try to enjoy Chaucer through your ears, not through your eyes. Your eyes will deceive you, because the spellings are not those spellings which we read nowadays. Ilaroy, absolutely. So if you want to enjoy Chaucer, try to enjoy Chaucer, read aloud Chaucer through your ears, so that you hear the words. Oh yes, this is the word. April. It is not April. It is April. April. Otherwise, Chaucer will write Aprille. April. Your eyes will fail there, but ears will pass. So try to read Chaucer through your ears, and you will enjoy Chaucer like anything. You will really enjoy Chaucer. I have enjoyed Chaucer like this only. I remember some lines from Wordsworth for those who are advanced level learners. For oft when on my couch I lie, for oft when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. This is literature. And through literature, we can enhance both the skills, reading and listening together. So during reading, whatever we read, when we read literature, there can be three different stages of reading literature. Columbus National School, what they are saying, Columbus National School, Renu Arora, okay, Renu. Canterbury Tales, Love Forever, Shikha Jain. Archana Singh, my favorite. Jayaprakash, wow. Neetu, Daffodils. Yes, it was from Daffodils. For oft when on my couch I lie, they flash upon that inward eye, which is then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils and dances with the daffodils. So when we read something, there can be three different stages of reading. Pre-reading means using the background knowledge, the background of the author, the background of the book, and the background what we know about that book or about that text which we are going to read. And then while reading, when we read, making predictions, understanding, revising, guessing, and talking to ourselves, talking to the author, coming to the conclusions. All these things are while reading. Anjana Singh, good. Okay, you are showing like this. And then post reading, retelling, paraphrasing, answering, comparing, summarizing, making notes. So these can be three different stages of any sort of reading. I'll revise them again. Pre-reading, using the background knowledge, the background of the author, the background of the book, the background of the text we are going to read, or our own knowledge of the world. This is the first step, pre-reading. Second, while reading, for example, if we are going to read Chaucer, so we need to understand what were the conditions of England during the 14th century England. How was it? Because Chaucer portrays his age remarkably, really remarkably. And how was the clergy at that time? How was the church at that time? How was the society at that time? There was a lot of mockery of everything at that time. There was a lot of fashion in the clergy sort of thing. So all these things, the knighthood, the chivalry, this wife of Bath and everything. So we need to understand before reading the knowledge of the world, and then while reading, making predictions, talking to the author, agreeing and disagreeing with the author, confirming, revising, all these things. Ambika Singh, Ambalska Singh, Lajawab. Okay. And then post reading, retelling, answering, comparing, coding, decoding, summarizing, making notes, and all these things. So language is a whole package of development of skills through literature. So if literature is one part, there are 4 skills to develop through literature: listening, speaking, reading, writing, all in one package. That is literature. So we are coming to the fag end of the session. How much time is there? Let me check. So it is already almost 1 hour. Now I would like to take any questions, although I was taking side by side. Any questions? Don't audiobooks pose a lack of feelings? Yes, sometimes. That's why I have given you the question is with me. Don't audiobooks pose a problem, a lacking of feeling? Obviously, sometimes when we are reading, when nobody is reading to us and we are just listening to a book, yes, sometimes. That's why I have given the idea that read along. Somebody is reading to your ears through an audiobook, you can also read along. What is musical dictation? I'll take this later on. There was another question. Our children need more to be drawn to literature. Yes, or become passionate about this era, in this age, 2020, and these 20 years. We have somehow, I feel, we have driven away from literature. We need to bring back literature, because literature is the thing which can teach us values, which can teach us humanity, which can teach us what we are, the human beings. We have got skillful doctors, we have got skillful engineers, we have got skillful workers, but those skills have taken out the morality somewhere, sometime. Not all. Obviously, I'm not saying that all doctors, all this. No, but somewhere we are lacking values because we have left literature. Read literature of any language. I'm not saying that okay, you should read only Chaucer or Shakespeare. No, not at all. Read Kalidas, read Ghalib, read Iqbal, read Premchand, whatever you wish to read. Read anything. Read good literature. Ghalib is equally good. Rahim is equally good. Surdas, Kabirdas is equally good. Goethe or Aristotle or anybody, Rumi, anybody, but read literature. Literature reading has taken a back seat. That's why we are having so many problems in the society, and that's why we are unable to develop these 4 skills of our students. Surbhi Mehta, what would be the best way to enhance both are the pronunciation, to enhance comprehension skills in case of virtual teaching? Yes, as I told you, try to rephrase whatever you have read, try to summarize, try to talk to the author, try to disagree with the author. When we try to disagree with somebody, we have good comprehension skills. Sir, please explain musical dictation. I'm not very sure about it. About musical dictation, it's something like running dictation. Uh, through we give some rhymes, and they listen to the rhymes, and they try to the rhyme is stopped, and the students are asked to write whatever they have. For example, you can I'll advise you one thing. Lenka's song, Lenka. I'll write it for you. Lenka's song. Uh, I think it's a mirror image. Oh, I'm sorry. Lenka's. Can I write it here also? Yes, yes, I can write. Lenka's song. I'm